This is Land of Havilah, Isaiah 47. Isaiah has prophesied the rise and fall of Babylon several times already. He said in chapter 13, verse 19, quote, "Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans' pride, will be like when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah," end quote. The present chapter is completely about the fall of Babylon. Verse 1. "Come down and sit in the dust, virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground without a throne, daughter of the Chaldeans, for you'll no longer be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind flour. Remove your veil, lift up your skirt, uncover your legs, and wade through the rivers. Your nakedness will be uncovered. Yes, your shame will be seen. I'll take vengeance and will spare no one. Our Redeemer, Yahweh of armies is his name, is the Holy One of Israel. Sit in silence and go into darkness, daughter of the Chaldeans, for you shall no longer be called the mistress of kingdoms." Comment in verses 1 to 5, Isaiah speaks of Babylon as a royal woman, rich, delicate, spoiled, and pampered, but shall be disgraced and suffer indignities. In verse 1, she has a throne, but in time to come she'll sit on the ground in the dust. She's tender and delicate, but in verse 2 she'll grind flour with millstones like a common laborer. She's royal and proud, but she'll be as a poor woman without a veil, and lifting up her skirt to ford rivers, exposing her naked legs in verse 3. She'll be shamed. In verse 5, Babylon is the daughter of the Chaldeans. They were Chaldeans by ethnicity and language. Babylon was their chief city and the name of their kingdom. Coming up, Yahweh still speaking to the Babylonians and explains that he was angry with his people, the Jews, which is why he handed them over to them, but he was displeased with how harshly the Babylonians treated them. Verse 6, "I was angry with my people. I profaned my inheritance and gave them into your hand. You showed them no mercy. You laid a very heavy yoke on the aged. You said, 'I'll be a princess forever,' so that you didn't lay these things to your heart, nor did you remember the results." Comment, the Babylonians didn't remember the results, meaning they didn't remember there would be consequences. Verse 8, "Now therefore hear this, you who are given to pleasures, who sit securely, who say in your heart, 'I am, and there is no one else besides me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children.' But these two things shall come to you in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They'll come on you in their full measure, in the multitude of your sorceries and the great abundance of your enchantments." Comment in verses 8 and 9, "Now hear this, Babylonians. You'll sit as a widow and know the loss of children," which means they would lose their kingdom. This was fulfilled in 539 B.C., about a century and a half after Isaiah, when Cyrus of the Medo-Persian Empire conquered them. In verse 9, the fall will occur in a moment, in one day. Daniel was a royal advisor when Babylon fell and described how surprising it was. Babylonian King Belshazzar was feasting with 1,000 of his nobles when they saw writing on the wall, which Daniel interpreted for them, that the kingdom was divided and given to the Medes and Persians. That night Belshazzar was killed, Daniel 5. Still speaking to the Babylonians, verse 10, "For you have trusted in your wickedness. You've said, 'No one sees me.' Your wisdom and your knowledge have perverted you. You've said in your heart, 'I am, and there is no one else besides me.' Therefore disaster will come on you. You won't know it when it dawns. Mischief will fall on you. You won't be able to put it away. Desolation will come on you suddenly, which you don't understand." Comment in verse 10, "Your wisdom and your knowledge have perverted you," end quote. Obviously, the Babylonians had to have a lot of worldly wisdom and know how to build their kingdom, but there's a corrupting influence that goes along with worldly wisdom, to the point that Paul said to the church something to the effect, "Look around, in case you didn't notice, not many of you are wise, mighty, or noble," 1 Corinthians 1:26. Jesus said the Father hides spiritual things from the wise and understanding and reveals them to little children, Luke 10:21. Accordingly, in Jesus' day, not many of the priests, scholars, or nobles recognized him. Again, in verse 10, "Your wisdom and knowledge have perverted you." In verse 11, "Desolation will come on you suddenly." Now speaking of the Babylonian reliance on wise men, sorcerers, conjurers, and the like, verse 12, "Stand now with your enchantments and with the multitude of your sorceries, in which you've labored from your youth, as if you might profit, as if you might prevail. You're wearied in the multitude of your counsels. Now let the astrologers, the stargazers, and the monthly prognosticators stand up and save you from the things that will come on you. Behold, they are like stubble. The fire will burn them. They won't deliver themselves from the power of the flame. It won't be a coal to warm at or a fire to sit by. Comment in verses 12 to 14, their occultic practitioners won't be able to save them. Their occultic practitioners will burn. They'll be like stubble in the flame. The fire will burn them, and it won't be the comfortable kind of fire a person sits by to warm himself. Verse 15. The things that you labored in will be like this. Those who have trafficked with you from your youth will each wander in his own way. There will be no one to save you. Comment in verse 15, Babylon is ruined. She trafficked in occultism. All her occultic counselors to whom she paid such diligent attention will wander away from her, and she'll be left alone. Isaiah 48 is next.